Well, Jeff is here with us today. And Jeff, I want you to give a little bit of background on your story. I mentioned to the audience here that you were a national sales leader in your company, or not your company, but in the Camel Soup Company for a while. You have a career in professional speaking now, and now you wrote a book as well. You're an author. So they have a little bit of a background of what your story is. But take it away, my friend. I thank you for coming on and joining us. I'm excited to have you on here today. But give us a little background on your history, anything that I missed there and just share with us. And then we're going to hop into some really cool topics today.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, it's great to be here with you. For those of you that are dialing in, I've known Jeremiah and Savannah now for a few years, and one of the very impressive young entrepreneurial couples I've got to connect with since first started working with green industry folks with Brian Fullerton and Entrepreneur Academy probably 5 or 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
But my background real quick, grew up in Michigan. Now you're down in Alabama, right?
Alabama, way down south.
So you should know I'm sipping coffee out of my
I knew.
Michigan coffee mug. Michigan, known as the team that sent Nick Saban into retirement.
Yeah. You're going to hold that one forever, won't you?
well, and since
I was happy. Harbaugh needed one. It was about time.
and since he left and
Yeah.
22 people got drafted, they're like, whoops,
Yep.
my camera keeps cutting out. I turned off the auto shut off, but there we go. So anyway, grew up in Michigan, went to school in Ohio, and which is where I live now. My weird career, got a degree in speech communication. Mostly chose that because it seemed like an easy major where I didn't have to take hard classes. I'm like, speaking, I've
That's
been doing that since I was a toddler. Uh, was on a speech team when I was in college and got offered a scholarship to graduate school to Miami University, Miami of Ohio, and finished that program in less than a year. And they offered me a faculty position at the age of 22. And so, probably very, very different career path from anyone listening to this podcast. That
yeah.
at the age of 22, I was a college professor and did that for 5 years and taught classes in public speaking. Decided to get out of that and wanted to make more money and went and took a job in sales. Went to work, as you mentioned, for the Campbell Soup Company. And I thought I'd be awesome at sales, right? Because sales is talking, it's presenting.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought. And I couldn't have been more wrong. I've struggled in that job for 4 years. I sold barely enough to not get fired. And we were talking a little bit a minute ago about people need to learn how to sell. I needed to learn how to sell too. I
Yeah.
I was terrible at that job, and used to lay in my bed at night and like I'm gonna get fired, and was very frustrated. Got to the end of my rope, and I said, okay, I need some continuing education. Now this was back in the mid 90s. You were probably wearing diapers back then.
I wasn't even alive back then.
Yeah, that makes me feel really old. And but there wasn't podcasts, there
Yeah.
wasn't YouTube, there
Yeah.
wasn't
Totally different.
there wasn't training. My employer didn't have any training available, and so I like went down to the bookstore. I bought a book on selling skills, and I read it, and I was like, huh, huh. Then I
Yeah.
read another one, and then another one, and I spent a year of my life where I didn't watch any TV. I just read books on selling. I just learned how to be good at the job that I had.
Yeah.
Um, Started having very different conversations with clients and customers and even coworkers, and really reinvented my career. That year, I sold 5 times more with one third the hours at work. And
That's
today I do a
insane.
lot of selling training for big companies. I was out
Yeah.
at Dole Pineapple recently working with all of their, managers and salespeople, and you say 5 times more sales with one third the work, especially people like business owners or commission salespeople who get paid on performance. You can hear a pin drop in the room, and they're like, I don't know if I believe that, but I don't know if I can afford to ignore it either. And all my coworkers were like, Campbell's gives an award out for their top salesperson, and I won it 3 years in a row. And my coworkers were like, how do you sell so much? You don't hardly do any work. I'm like, I
Yeah.
know.
It's so great. Yeah.
Because to me, that's the goal, right? I don't want to be the hardest working guy in the world. There is no trophy for that.
Yeah.
There's a destination for that. It's called divorce court.
Mm,
If
mm,
that's all you're doing is working hard,
yeah.
it's not the key to success. Hard work is a component to it. And I've met now thousands of people working in the green space, landscapers, hardscapers. They're all working hard,
Hmm.
but some of them are prospering and some of them are ridiculously frustrated. And if hard work, I've been telling people for years, if hard work was the key to success, then janitors would make the most money. And
Yeah.
people that are putting blacktop on a parking lot somewhere right now, they would live in the biggest houses. And so hard work is a component of success. It's not the biggest one. And so, yeah, I was rocking working in sales at another company come along and want to hire me. And I'm like, a number one sales rep for a Fortune 500 company. Why would I come work for you? And the owner said, what if I doubled your salary? I said, what
Hello.
day do I start?
Yeah, yeah.
So I worked for that company for 5 years and then learned a harsh lesson about being an employee. I liked that job. I was highly paid, worked from home, easy job, doing what I loved. Then the owner sold the company.
Mm.
And the new owners are like, why are we paying this guy so much? I was out.
Yeah.
So I went on my own. I run my own company now. I do speaking and training on lots of topics, teamwork, customer service, attitude, leadership, selling skills. I work with a lot of groups of employees, but a lot of groups of business owners too. And essentially equipping people to succeed. My wheelhouse is the people side of the business world. I just booked yesterday to speak for a group of highway engineers in South Dakota. And I'm like, well, you're talking to the guy who runs this group. And I'm like, well, you are all smarter than me if you're engineers. I said, but,
Yeah.
think of the worst day you've had at work in the last year. I said, did it have anything to do with spreadsheets and schematics and designs, and email? No, I go,
Yeah.
I suspect it had to do with people,
Yeah.
customers, employees, it's people. Most
Yeah.
people work in the people business. You work in the people business too, right? It seems on its surface that you work in the business of making long grass short, but that's such a small part of the equation. And so that's kind of what I do. I work with organizations and help people figure out, I think I was just talking to Brian Fullerton yesterday. We're planning for LAL this weekend, and that what does it take to succeed in a business of your own? It's a combination of things, right? It is hard work. It is there's some skill sets that are required. There's some mindset. You got to have systems in place. I can't help you with the systems. There's lots of resources available in your industry for that. But for me, the mindset of what are you
Mm.
trying to accomplish? And I have been able to help a lot of green industry professionals start getting better results with less time and less stress. And so you're not just always revolving door with employees, revolving door
Yeah.
with customers, building something, right, which
Mm.
requires some strategy and some skills, and so that's, kind of what I do. And, the skill sets that I think are most needed with people working in the green industry. I'm fascinated all the landscaping and lawn care professionals that I've met. You're really an interesting subset of our economy, right? It's mostly guys that didn't want to work a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to be self-employed because I don't like being bossed around. And a lot of them are kind of introverted personalities, right? I mean, good people, salt of the earth, hardworking,
Give you the
love
shirt off their back. Yep.
yeah, America, my kind of people, right? Carrying a gun. I think I'd be pretty safe at LAL that if someone tried to break in
Yeah.
and rob there, somebody would take them out before they ever got to me. But yeah, good, salt of the earth, hardworking people. And a lot of them, what they loved when they first got into lawn care is it's a job you can do all by your lonesome.
And not have to deal with people. Yeah.
Get on your lawnmower, you put your headphones on, you listen to a podcast, you drive around, you're outdoors, you're in the sun, wee. And I could see the allure of that for someone who is uncomfortable dealing with people.
Yeah.
But then you figure out real fast that you're going to be making minimum wage the rest of your life unless you build a team.
Yeah.
The session I'm doing at Launchpreneur on Saturday is called "It's Good to Be a Maverick, but You're Going to Need a Herd."
Mm.
It's good that solo entrepreneurial, don't want to be bossed around, rugged individualism. That's good, but you're going to have to build a team and you're going to have to
Yeah.
get good with customers. And those are the two areas that I see deficiencies with: leadership and selling. And how do you talk to your customers? How do you find customers? How do you keep loyal customers? Right? Finding them is really only half the battle. Keeping them is part of it. How do you differentiate yourself from everyone else in your community who's pushing a lawnmower? How do you make price less of an issue?
Mm.
Because I work with business owners in all kinds of professions, and you don't want to be doing battling on price,
No, no, that'd
especially
be
if
a
you're
race to the bottom.
if you're any good at what you do. And
Yeah.
so, a lot of my training, we can probably talk about today about adding value. And I ask my audiences all the time when I'm talking to salespeople, true or false? The more value you add, the less price matters.
Yep.
And they go, true. And I go, well, if that's true, the inverse of that sentence is true too, which is if you don't add value, all that's left is price.
Yeah.
And so if I ask some of your customers what makes you different and they don't have an answer to that, I like their trucks. Hey, you're in big trouble. Right.
Yeah.
And
The next
so
person that comes along and offers a $5 cheaper price, you can see you
that's
later.
exactly right. They're gone.
Yeah.
Because, landscaping, lawn care, it can appear as a commodity. And I would argue it kind of is.
Mm.
Right. If your value is limited to your grass is long and I can make it short. Sorry, this video screen is driving me crazy.
You're good.
I got this camera that every once in a while it resets to the factory settings, which includes automatically shutting off.
Gotta love it.
See, this is where I need to have a full-time technology person. I'm not big enough yet, or a
Get
secretary.
them on staff. Yeah, there you go.
Someone went to my website yesterday and looked up my phone number and called my office, which is and they said, "Oh, Mr. Joyner, you answered the phone. I can't believe it." I'm like, "Oh, my secretary's at lunch."
Yeah, yeah, she's out.
I didn't tell him I'm banging my secretary. That's my wife. And they don't even know that. Also my CFO. And
COO.
It's exactly right. Yeah, she kind of runs it all. But anyway, I talk to these people all the time that they don't understand how to, take what they do and turn it into something other than a commodity. So we'll probably talk about that today, but that's kind of my background. That's what I do. That's what I'm hoping to add some value. I did write a book recently.
Yeah.
I resisted writing a book for years because it just seems like such an egotistical thing to do. You know what the world really needs right now? Another book.
Another book.
Full of my ideas. And it was actually Brian Fullerton who challenged me to write a book. The first time I spoke for Together in the Trades was in Nashville. That might have been the first time I met you guys.
Yeah. Yep.
And we had that speakers meeting the night before and he said, I got a challenge for you, Jeff. I don't think there's a great modern book on communication skills. So, how to win friends and influence people is 100 years old. And if someone were to write a book about public speaking and selling and interviewing and connecting with people, I was like, And so I give Brian the credit. Yeah, but it is, it's called Say It Like It Matters When It Matters, Communicating with Power, Effectiveness, and Authenticity. And so if someone wants to dig into any more of these ideas, a lot of them are in that book.
And we're going to dive into a lot of it. A lot of what we're going to talk about today is going to be surface level. It's not going to be surface level. It's just going to be like the entry to a much deeper topic. And so you can go get the book there. We'll talk about that some more at the end of the show. But everything we just talked about there in the first 12 minutes, I think we could turn into a whole show, which we're going to do. But I want to just kind of talk through some things here. And my first kind of point that I want to go shoot your direction and get some feedback on and just have open discussion is talking value over price, right? Like you were speaking about that and I haven't even told you that's really where I wanted to go yet. That's just stuff that you're like, hey, this stuff matters. And so that shows how important this conversation is adding value over price. We're in Christmas light season right now. We install Christmas lights and constantly getting the DM, the comment, the question, how are you charging this much per foot? There's no way I can do it. It will never charge. People are charging $3. And I simply reply and say, add value. That's literally my response. I say, add value. And as you grow your company, you have to realize that adding value to your company, setting yourself apart is something that will take you to new heights compared to your competition. And so selling value over price, like let's talk about that for few minutes here on as guys looking to grow their company. What are some ways that they can truly add value to their customers? Not so much in the details, right? Like I don't really necessarily want to go that route today. Not like, yeah, add mulch or install mulch or plant plants, right? That's another topic for another day. I'm talking conversational skills that you can do when you're talking to your clients. Like, how can you actually sit there and in a conversation with someone, add value to their life that will in turn make them like you? You will like resonate in their brain. Now, when they think, oh, landscape, oh, that person took time to talk to me, right? Because we just had a Quip exposition. 28,500 green industry attendees went to that show, just attendees. Almost 30,000 of you. That's only a percentage of the industry, by the way. But there were almost 30,000 people there. I would dare say less than 5,000 could probably have like a really good, meaningful one-on-one conversation with somebody. Because it's like you said, you get on a mower, you go mow all day on your own, you put your headphones in and you go to work. And a lot of guys are socially awkward. They don't know how to talk, not public speak, just have a one-on-one conversation, which is what you have to grow your company. Get new clients, get into commercial space, get into that high-end neighborhood, all of those things. So let's dive into that a little bit if you don't mind. Conversational skills that you can gain, that you can talk through, that you can add to your repertoire to add value to your customers' lives.
Sounds good. And, and I'll give you my perspective on that. Yeah. And when I'm talking about adding value, I'm not talking about, adding mulch.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's upselling. Would you like fries with that?
Exactly.
And I'm not against that.
Yeah.
McDonald's sells a lot of French fries by saying, would you like fries with that? Right. But I think most people are probably already doing that. My challenge to business owners of all kinds is, how do you really add value? I recommend people think about how do you add value outside of the product or service that you're selling, right? So if the service you're selling is mowing lawns, putting up Christmas lights, it's doubtful that you are going to put those lights up
so
significantly better than
Yeah.
someone else can.
Yeah.
Where someone's going to be like, wow, look at this beautiful. Oh, that one's garbage, right? It's probably not the case. That's a commodity. Putting lights up, mowing grass. How can you add value outside of that? And the way that you do that is by figuring out what people want and delivering that. When I was doing my my year of transformation, I didn't stop reading books, but I really focused on selling skills book during that year. And by the way, that was 20 years ago, and I'm still reaping benefits from things that I read 20 years ago. I'm sitting right now inside my library at my house, and I think I'm the only one in my neighborhood that's got a library in my house. People find it shocking. They come over, they're like, wow, you got a lot of books. And it's been my experience. If your TV is bigger than your library, you're probably not going very far in life. But one of the books I read was a book by a guy named Bill Stennett called Think Like Your Customer. And it wasn't a great book. I don't recommend it. You can jot that down. I'll tell you the one good thing in that book that I got out of it. He said, people buy what they need, right? Because you've probably heard, Zig Ziglar said it probably 80 years ago. The key to selling is find a need and fill it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true to a degree. But this guy wrote this book. He said, people buy what they need to get what they want. What do they want? Man, that got me thinking. People buy what they need to get what they want. So someone who's buying, someone who says, oh, I need some environmentally friendly products. That's what they need, but what do they want? Yeah. Maybe they want to save planet Earth. Maybe their boss is on their back to do a green initiative. Maybe it's a company who wants to market that to other people. One of my favorite analogies is, when my kids were little, you got little kids, you know what this is like.
Yeah.
We were always looking for babysitters.
Oh yeah.
And someone recommended to us, oh man, I forgot even her name. It's been years. I think her name was Molly. You need Roman recommended Molly and said, she's expensive, but she's the best babysitter. And I'm thinking, the best babysitter? Who does these rankings? The NCAA. And so I go, well, we'll give her a shot. And so she comes over, we got 3 high energy, run around the house kids. We left her, we went out and we had dinner, and And we came back and she said, "Hey, the kids are all asleep." She goes, "I've prepared a report for you on what we did when you were gone." And she had a written report that showed what all three of our kids ate for dinner, the games that they played together, the books that she read them when she tucked them into bed.
Everyone needs a Molly.
And not only did I pay her exorbitant fee, but I gave her like a $50 tip on top of that.
Yep.
And that was our new babysitter.
And did you think twice about it?
Yeah, until she went to college and moved away.
Yeah.
And I asked people, right? You know, people need babysitting, but what do we want? We want a peaceful night out with me and my wife without having to worry about what's going on back home.
Knowing our kids are safe. Exactly.
Yeah. So babysitting services is a commodity.
Yeah.
A peaceful night out is priceless.
Yeah.
And I know that some people can't connect those dots between those stories and running a lawn care business. But when you start thinking about customers in your line of work, what do they want? Nobody wants lawn care services.
No, they want their time back.
They want their
a
yard
to brag on.
Some people, it's just time.
Yeah.
This grass has to get mowed. I'm trading hours for dollars, dollars for hours of my life back. Some people, they want their yard to look nicer than they know how to do it themselves.
Yep.
Some people just want their yard to look nicer than their neighbor's yard. That's all they really want. Some people, they want to do business with, some people want to do business with someone they trust.
Yeah.
Some people, what they deeply want is for once to work with a vendor who picks up the phone when I call. Some people, what they want is, somebody who's not going to jack the prices on them once they get, do it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I'm telling you, when I started asking people, what do you really want? And just having a conversation, you know what I found? So it's getting back to your, having a one-on-one conversation. The key to being effective and communicating with others is to take your eyes off yourself and focus on other people. The first part of my book is on public speaking, and I got a chapter on how to get over your fear of public speaking, because 75% of people, when you ask them what their biggest fear is, they say public speaking. Number 2 is death. Jerry Seinfeld famously joked, that means most people, if they're at a funeral, they'd rather be in the box.
Yeah. Than up on the stage. Yeah.
Giving the eulogy, which is crazy. And my argument is nobody's afraid of public speaking. I've done 10,000 speaking events. No one's ever shot me up there.
Yeah.
I've never fallen off the stage. The microphone's not going to electrocute you. When people say they're afraid of public speaking, I go, tell me, what are you really afraid of? Well, I'm afraid of doing badly. Okay, keep going.
Getting there. Yeah.
What you're really afraid of is what other people think of you.
What other people think. Yep.
You're too concerned about other people's opinions of you.
Yeah.
And people get up in front of an audience and they're thinking, oh no, I'm doing bad. Oh, they're not paying attention. Oh, my palms are sweating. Oh no, they're good. And it's like putting 50 spotlights right in your own face and burning yourself to death. And I'm never nervous when I speak to an audience because I'm not there for me.
Yeah.
I'm there for the audience. Same thing when I meet somebody, when I'm, having a conversation with someone that I meet somewhere, a potential customer. And so, I'll tell you, I know in the lawn care business, most people don't even want to do sales. They want to do marketing.
Yep.
They want to go put door hangers up.
Yeah. Or sit behind a screen and run a Facebook ad.
Exactly right. And you know what? You are automatically now going against everybody else on price.
Yeah.
As opposed to getting out of your house, getting off of your lawnmower, not all the time, but sometimes, and talking to people in your community. See, one of the things I think interesting is I talk to business professionals about this all the time, but there's a lot of companies that have a nationwide, target customers. And it's hard to do this. But lawn care business, more than any other industry I know, you're like what on the
down to miles, like
the
3, 4
suburbs of Birmingham, Alabama, right? You're not trying to get customers in California. What would you? And so if, you got, and ideally the smaller, the better, right? If you could if you could service 200 customers within a 1 mile radius, you'd be happy as can be, and you'd be home for dinner every night.
Yep.
And so, if ever there was an industry that lent itself to face, eyeball to eyeball, shaking somebody's hand and talking to them.
Do
And
you
oh
I
my,
don't want to go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
No, I don't want to interrupt you. I'm kind of interrupting you, but before we move on and I forget this, so we're heading down this path. Do you have like an introductory line or anything like? And because again, guys, we're not like it's not the lawn care. You're selling lawn care, yes, but that's not the relationship that we're trying to build here. We're trying to build something deeper and bigger, setting yourself apart, right? So, do you have something that you could say like just that warm like introduction? Because you're on planes with people all the time. You see new people all the time. You meet new people all the time. So you have these conversations. For somebody who's going out meeting new people in the community, do you have anything? And it doesn't have to be like a literal template, but just something for someone to take and say, "Hey, I can use this to actually form this introduction."
Yeah, sure. And let me back up before I answer that question. A good place to start practicing is with your existing customers
Mm.
and having a conversation with them. Practice your communication skills with customers you already have and see if you can't deepen that, get a little customer loyalty going, and maybe get a referral.
Yeah.
And I'll give you it's not exactly apples to apples, but an analogy. I have a good friend of mine who owns an ice cream shop, and it's not indoor seating. It's like people walk up and get their ice cream through the window, and they sit at the patio. And he was asking me for strategies and how to grow his business. And I said, I know how you could double your business very easily without even leaving your property. And he's like, "Oh, Facebook advertising?" I go, "No, you moron." I said, "Here's what I would do. If I were in your shoes, uh, I would get out there on that patio every Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday during the week, at least a couple days a week, if not every day. And I'd be out there shaking hands and kissing babies like I was running for Congress.
Mm.
And here's the conversation I would have. Hey, enjoying your ice cream? Good. Hey, my name's Steve. I own this business. Means a lot to me that you came here today. This is how I feed my family, and I'm going to put my kids through college. And I really appreciate that you came. Hey, come back again soon, would you? And bring some of your friends."
There you
Financial
go.
cost of that advertising initiative,
Mm.
$0.
Yep.
It's really a good price.
Yep.
He started doing that. People started connecting that they weren't just buying ice cream from the ice cream shop. They were buying ice cream from Steve.
Yeah.
They were helping put Steve's kids through college. Man, you know who can't do that? Dairy Queen.
Yep.
The bigger the business, the less that works. Right?
And that's what sets them apart right there.
Yeah, for the CEO of Coca-Cola to go around being like, "I appreciate your business." That's not changing anything. But a small business owner saying, "Hey, I own this business. And when you do business with me, you're supporting my family. Man, I really appreciate it." And there's a percentage of people that are like, "Wow, I've never had a vendor thank me for my loyalty."
Mm.
One of the ideas in my book, I talk about, the difference, getting rid of your satisfied customers. I think one of the things holding back your business is you have too many satisfied customers. And people go, "What do you mean?" I go, "Satisfied is such a low bar, right? Satisfied customer. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
That people think satisfied and unsatisfied or dissatisfied are two ends of a spectrum. That's not how it works. There's satisfied, there's dissatisfied and satisfied. But when people say, and I'll give you an example, companies brag about it. 9 out of 10 Verizon users recommend Verizon. Well, you know why? Because if you don't like Verizon, you know how quick it is to quit being a Verizon customer.
Yeah.
So all your satisfied customers, they're the worst customers you have. And
Yep.
so I started realizing that better than a satisfied customer is a loyal customer. And then I realized better than a loyal customer is what I call an apostle, somebody who's going to go tell other people about, spread the good news about, the work that you do. And so I started literally having conversations with my customers, and I'd be like, and if I was in your business, I swear I would do this. I would like knock on the door and be like, "Hey, we just mowed your lawn. Can I talk to you for 30 seconds? I want to tell you about a new promotion we're doing. And they'll go, okay, here comes the upsell. And you say, we're doing a promotion where we're getting rid of all of our satisfied customers and we're replacing them with wowed, blown away. Can't believe how awesome we are. Can't wait to tell their friends about us customers.
Mm.
Is there anything we could do differently that would turn you into one of those? And if you did that, you know what you'd find? 80% of them are going to be like, you guys are doing great. Awesome. If you ever see something we could do better to service you and add value to your yard and your life and your business, please tell us. Is there value in that conversation, even if they don't have a critique? Yes. 20% of them are going to say, well, since you asked, I work second shift. I sleep in the morning. I'd appreciate it if you didn't come in the morning. Could you come to my house afternoon? Oh, well, yeah. We didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right. Could you make that work for a customer if that was something that was important to them? Of course you could.
But in today's world, a lot of customers would never even let you know the problem. And that's the thing. They would move on. They would move on to a new company before they even let you know what the problem was. And that's where you are again
exactly
adding
right.
value.
Yeah. There was a study done by the Federal Department of Consumer Affairs that found out that 1 in 4 business deals in America, the customer is dissatisfied.
Mm.
So 4 people buy a shirt, 1 of them doesn't like it. 4 people get their car washed, 1 of them, is dissatisfied with the deal.
Yeah.
But only 5% of those dissatisfied customers ever complain. They just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So if I can figure out, boy, oh boy, let me have this conversation. I did when I was working for Campbell's, one of our biggest customers that was buying from one to, we used to sell our food service products through distributors like Cisco and US Foods. And this big customer in our market changed from one distributor to another one, multi-million-dollar decision. And I asked the guy who lost the business, the sales rep, I go, hey, what happened there? He goes, price.
Mm.
The other guys got cheaper prices than we do. And you know what I know? No, they don't.
Yeah.
Everything's priced right. If that other business
when
prices
when you're at that size, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. If their prices were too high, they'd go out of business. If their prices were too low, they go out of business too. So he goes, yeah, we lost that business on price. Well, I went and asked the customer who made the decision to switch. I go, why did you switch from this distributor to this one? I'm talking about someone who was buying $10 million a year worth of products. Truckloads.
Big switch.
Every week. Yeah. And the guy who lost that business, by the way, he was getting paid a commission on it. His income just went down probably 30%. His biggest customer. He said price. I went and asked the customer, hey, I'm curious, why would you switch from them to them? She goes, those older guys, their trucks are dirty. I go, what? She goes, yeah, their trucks are just dirty. And I just assume if your truck's dirty, your warehouse is dirty. And if your warehouse is dirty, you don't have good standards. And if you don't have good standards, she goes, I'm actually paying more to work with the other guys because clean trucks are important to me.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, if that salesperson would have had the common sense to ask her, is there anything we could be doing better?
Yeah.
He could have, how easy would it be to send the clean trucks to that customer? So I feel like I'm kind of getting around but I recommend people, there's a, chapter 25 in my book. It's the one I've gotten the most feedback on, is a chapter on communicating with strangers. And it is my contention that if you want to accomplish anything with your life, you don't yet know enough people. You're not going to accomplish anything great without people. And the people you currently got aren't enough. Your employees, your customers, your whatever. And so my strong argument is that not just if you want to grow, especially if you want to build something, a business, a church, a charity, you have to start talking to strangers every day and make it a habit. A friend of mine's a pastor and he read my book and he goes, "Are you saying when I go to the gym, instead of putting on my headphones and listening to worship music, I should be talking to strangers?" I go, "If you want your church to grow, what kind of
Yeah.
a dumb question is that?" He goes, "I never
Mm.
thought about that." And I go, "That's why your church is so small." I said, "Well, how easy
Oh,
would
that's
it
good.
be, right? How
Yeah.
easy would it be to get talking to someone at the gym? Now, don't be annoying and tapping the guy with his headphones on. Hey, you want to be my friend? But just, man, I meet people all the time,
Yeah.
and hey, where are you coming from? I was on a flight 2 weeks ago, and sitting across from me is these two guys, and what we got talking. I feel like I'm not answering your question, but I try to find some reason to break the ice and strike up the conversation.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
this
for sure.
particular case, it was a 7 a.m. flight that I got an email saying the flight's been delayed till 10.
Mm.
I slept in a little bit, and then I got another email an hour later that said the flight's back on time. And I'm like,
What?
so I'm in bed, jumping out of bed, grabbing my stuff, and I raced. It's an hour,
Sprinting. Yeah.
raced an hour away to the airport. Anyway, I get there, I'm sweaty, I'm running through the airport, and this plane has only got like 10 people on.
Oh my.
And I get talking to these guys across the aisle from me in in the exit row, and I go, "Did you guys get that email?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "What was that all about?" Well, I get talking with them. They both work for GE Aircraft Engines, which is a big employer here in Cincinnati. As we're talking, yeah, the one guy's like, "Yeah, we travel a lot, and Jim here doesn't really like it." "Oh yeah, how come?" "Well, I got two little kids at home. They're a homeschool family." Got
Mm.
talking about some things that I've learned working with people that do that. And I said, there's a homeschool group in Michigan that's actually using my book as curriculum for their co-op. And then the other guys, we get talking about some of the challenges. I do training on that kind of stuff. He's talking about, employees, the details don't matter. But one of these guys, we traded information about, where he wants to get some coffee with me sometime and pick my brain about raising kids. And I said, "I'll do that with you." Who knows what that might lead to down the road.
Yeah.
The other guy's like has already booked me to do two speaking events for his company at $10,000 each.
No way.
That's a good little conversation. Um, then I'm flying back from California, and these same two guys are on my flight. I'm like, "Hey!" And this guy sits next to me, and he's all, oh, he's like not in a good mood. And I see he's got a shirt with his company brand on it, and he's got his phone, and he's looking at it, and it's a picture of what probably is 5 or 6 year old girl.
Mm.
And so how do you break the ice? I got a master's degree in communication, but I don't think you need it for this. I go, "Is that your daughter?" Either that or
Real
he's
hard. Yeah,
either
real
that or
hard.
he's a sexual predator.
Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Are you away from home a lot?" And he goes, "Yeah, I sure am." And we get talking, and I go, "What kind of work do you do?" "I put fire suppression systems into businesses." And I go, "Yeah, how's it going?" He goes, "Let me tell you how it's going in 2 words. People suck."
Mm.
It's a strong thing to say.
Yeah.
I go, "Which people suck in your world? Customers or employees?" He said, "Employees." He said, "I got 7 people who work for me. Every time I hire somebody and train them up and teach them how to do the job, they quit and become one of my competitors. And they think they know everything I do, but they don't. And they're just going around telling people I was their mentor, and it's hurting my reputation." He's like, "I'm so frustrated." And so we had a conversation around hiring people, attracting good people. And I said, he's like, "I hate when you train them and then they leave." And I go, "You know what's worse? If you don't train them and then they stay."
Stay.
So that's what I do is I just find any way I can to be talking to people. So if I was in your line of work for real, if I was at the grocery store and I saw, a young family, I'd say, "Hey, excuse me." And I forget the name of your business.
Growing green.
Growing Green. That's right. This here's what I found does. I don't like to like beat around the bush and like, "Hey, I'm just here to be your friend," and then call them later. "Hey, would you like some
Yeah,
lawn
yeah.
care?" But to say to someone, "Hey, you guys got a beautiful family," an authentic compliment, I find is the best way to break the ice. "Hey, excuse me, you guys got a beautiful family." "Oh my gosh." Thank you. That just made our day. Say, hey, I don't know, where you guys live, but I run a company. We do residential and commercial lawn care, and we put up Christmas lights. If you're ever looking for someone that's a trustworthy, hardworking person that could work with you, I'd love to service you as one of my customers. Here's my card. Cost of that conversation financially.
Mm. A 6-cent business card.
6-cent business card and 2 minutes of your time.
Yeah.
If you have, I would bet you money. I'll take anyone up listening to this podcast on this. If you said that with a smile and a good attitude to 20 people, you'd get at least one new customer.
Oh yeah, at least.
At least.
Yeah, at least.
And if not, you got someone who takes that card home and goes, man, that was a nice guy. Hey, you know what? I said that to a couple one time. I met a couple at McDonald's and I saw them. It's before my wife had kids and I was just watching them. And I went up to him and said, hey, excuse me. I don't mean to interrupt you, but man, you got a beautiful family. My wife and I want to have kids. And I was just watching your kids. And I said, hey, I do speaking and training. I gave him my card. They got back to me about a year later. And this is not a finance. I sold them 100. They got back to me a year later and said, you know what? We were taking our kids to lunch before we were going to meet with our divorce attorney. And when you said we had a beautiful family, it sparked something in us that, you know what? We do got a beautiful family.
Yeah.
Maybe we should give this another chance. They said, it's been a year and we're together and things aren't perfect, but thank you for what you said to us last year. I'll take that over a new client.
Yeah. Cost for that conversation?
$0 cost. And so to me, it's just being smart, having these. Hey, and by the way, I recommend this is the same strategy. People are like, I can't find good people. Well, where are you looking for them? Indeed.com. You moron. Oh, I'm trying to hire new people. Yeah. Well, how you doing that? Well, we put on our Facebook page now hiring. Yeah. Cause good candidates are looking at your Facebook page.
Yeah.
Then I recommend the same thing works in hiring. You see somebody hustling, you see someone going the extra mile, you see a kid bagging groceries with a good smile on his face, and you say, hey, I don't know if you ever, look for another career, but we're always looking for good people. Let me tell you what we're looking for: honest, hardworking, people with a good attitude, and you don't put some bait out there and hope to catch go find people.
Yeah.
And then you got to be a little careful hiring them away from your competitors. You don't want to be that guy. Like, so you see somebody with a, Bob's lawn care shirt on and you're like, come work for me. Because then what you get is all of their baggage. I'd rather find somebody who's hardworking, find some high school kids. Hey, I told one guy that was wanting to get better people in his lawn care business. I said, I'm just brainstorming. I don't know if this would work or not, but I said, if I were you, I'd go over to the local high school and put up some flyers that say now hiring entrepreneurial internships.
Yep.
And if you come work for us, we can't afford to pay you any more than minimum wage, but I'll teach you how to run a business. And when they get there, you say, hey, just don't start a business in this little community. Maybe you do that at the high school 2 towns over.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even if you do, even if someone, let's say you do get someone who's really hard worker and they're like, hey, I'd like to go start my own. Then you say, hey, you know what? You're looking for an investor. Why don't I be an investor? 10% of your profits for the rest of your business if I buy your first lawnmower.
Yeah.
And you're whatever. I'm just, these are just ideas, but all of this requires doing things a little bit differently than everybody else. I'm fascinated by how everyone says they want to be mavericks and be unique and differentiated. And then they do business the way that everyone else does business. And if your door hanger is competing against somebody else's door hanger, and that's the only differentiation you got, you better have a damn good door hanger.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I would never want. That's why in my line of work is I send emails back and forth, but as quick as possible. I want to get someone on the phone and have this guy in South Dakota just yesterday emailed a little bit. And I go, hey, call me. Let's talk. Get on the phone, talking to him. I'm like, here's what I do. He goes, oh, he's laughing. He goes, that sounds exactly like what we need. I go, that would not have happened over email or certainly not a Facebook ad.
Yeah. Can't read that emotion.
Yeah. Yeah. So but to me, that's delivering value. the question I like to ask, business owners and sales professionals all the time, here's the sweet spot is what can you do for your customers that your competitors can't or won't? I don't know if you were at the LAL where I asked the question to the audience, the difference between 2 and 4.
I don't know.
How would you answer that question? What's the difference between 2 and 4?
I don't know. I mean, there's a one. I mean, was a
No,
gap in
one.
between.
I thought you were going to say 2. One's even less correct than that, but people usually shout out 2 is the difference between 2
Well,
and 4.
there's one between. I mean,
Right.
there's
What's the
one.
difference?
Yeah,
What's
correct.
the difference between
Yeah,
2
yeah.
and 4? It's
Yeah, you
not
would,
one. It's not 1 or 2.
or 2. Yeah.
Some people say, well, one's the square root. Nope, that's not it. It's double. No. Sometimes when I ask this to large audiences, someone will say a 2 is made out of a curved line and a 1 is made out of a straight line.
Straight
I'm
line.
like, creative, but that's still not it.
Yeah.
The reason you're not getting it right is because you think I'm asking you a math question. I'm not talking about numbers, talking about prepositions.
Hmm.
When people do business with an ordinary landscaping company, something is happening to them.
Yeah.
When they work with a world-class organization, something is happening for them. That's the difference between 2 and 4. I do a lot of training in the restaurant business, and I tell them that's the difference between service and hospitality. Service in your line of work is, hey, you know what? Don't make a mess when you're, clean up after yourself, show up on time, make sure the billing is done accurately. That's all service. Hospitality is, how do people feel about doing business with you? To me,
Yeah.
that's the sweet spot. And if you don't have an answer to that, how do people feel about doing business with me and my family business? You're screwed.
Yeah.
And someone's going to come up and offer to do the same thing for $1 less, and you just lost a customer. And you're going to be constantly convincing, persuading, tricking people to give you a try, as opposed to using your head just a little bit and connecting with people. And, I told this to somebody, and he goes, you make it sound like choosing a lawn care provider is a personal thing. And I go, it is a personal thing.
Yeah. Most things in life are a personal thing.
Hey, why do some car salesmen sell so much more than others?
Yep.
Why do some, I just had a guy, I spoke at a conference at my alma mater on Saturday, and a guy came up that he's I did a thing called, my session was called Everyone's in Sales, Learning How to Connect. And I said, some people are like, well, I don't work in sales. This guy goes, I don't work in sales. I'm a financial planner. And I said, is part of your business getting new customers and keeping your customers happy? Oh, yeah. I go, you're in sales.
Your main gig is sales.
Yeah. I go, you're more in sales than most anyone.
Yeah.
And I said, in the word, I tell you a word that I challenge people to think about: trustworthiness.
Yeah.
If someone's doing business with Growing Green, how trustworthy are the people that work at your organization? Do you do what you say? Do you say what you do? And the answer is probably awesome. Is there room for improvement there? And any minute you spend thinking about, how can I convey to my customers that we're trustworthy, that we're going to do what we say, that we're going to, and sometimes it's a dispute in the billing. Oh, I paid for that. No, you didn't.
Yep.
You know what, though? I'd rather, not going to lose a customer over $50 or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, the people side of it, the same with, mentoring and leading people. But I do think, and we're probably running out of time here on your podcast, but I did a Facebook linked thing for Brian Fullerton a couple months ago. And I asked a question. I got some good feedback afterwards, but I said, what if you got what if your lawnmower blades, you got them twice as sharp as they are now? Do you think you double your sales and profits? The answer is
no. Yeah.
What if your trucks were twice as fancy and clean and branded? Would you
wouldn't
double
double.
sales?
I think you would increase. You wouldn't double.
Maybe some.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you could name a million things.
Correct. Yeah.
What if you paid your people double? Would you double your sales? Probably not. What if you got twice as good at connecting with people, talking to people, talking with them, telling your story about what makes your business different from everyone else? If you got twice as good at that, your sales would probably go up 10 times.
Yeah.
Well, if that's true, and everyone on that said, yeah, that's true. Well, then why isn't that what your number one focus is? Why aren't you laser focused on that? What have you
Why are
done
we
in the
still having this
last
conversation?
Yeah, what did you do in the last week to become a better communicator?
Yeah.
What? And I ask
Listen to
people, so
podcast or
yeah, which podcasts will help you with your mindset. Podcasts won't help you with your skill set.
exactly. You got to do something with it. You got to take
Yeah,
action.
but getting out there and I love, and again, when I do training for corporate executives on public speaking, they're like, well, I'm just a bad speaker. And I'm like, well, how often do you practice? And they're like, what? How often do you get up in front of an audience and share your ideas? Once or twice a year.
That's your
Well, no
answer.
wonder you're not good at it. What if you
Yeah.
drove a car once or twice a year? What if you
Yep.
mowed a lawn once or twice a year?
Yep.
What if you had a
Like,
conversation with your wife once or twice a year?
yeah.
And it's weird that like communication is the one skill set that people just assume they should be good at
Yeah.
without practicing.
Or they just don't put the time into it. Even like that. Even if they don't think they're good, they just don't make it an important thing of their life. They're like, oh, I'm
Right.
not good at it. I'm just not going to
Well, a
fix
lot
it.
of them, that's just it. They make an excuse. They go, well,
Yeah.
I'm not good at that. And they think it's
Yeah.
something they were born with.
That's not
You-
me.
That you
Yeah.
were somehow born not a good communicator. And here's a
Yeah.
newsflash. You were born naked, hungry, and angry. That's how you were born.
The
Everything
same way
else,
every other human was.
everything else you learned.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not good at communicating with people, it's because you've never decided to be good at communicating. It would be like someone who never golfed saying, well, I'm just not a good golfer. I
Yeah.
don't have
Yep.
personality for golf. Kind of a dumb thing to say would that be?
Yeah.
Nobody's got the personality for golf. It takes practice and coaching and studying. And so, it's easy for me to say as the communicator that the key to success is communication. Because it's not just that, right? The thing that
Yeah.
frustrates me working with green industry people is I know other industries that the problem is the people just don't work hard
Yeah.
or they don't care or there's a character issue and there's no honest people in that industry or in that company, right?
And that's stuff you can't teach.
Right.
That's the problem.
That's character stuff. And so
Yeah.
there's limited what I can do for those people. I come over into the green industry and you know what I see? Hardest
Good
working
people.
people.
Yeah.
Good character people, honest people. In fact, here's the message I hear all the time that people feel like I can't find anyone as honest and hardworking as me.
Yeah.
To which I say, you're not Captain America.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are people in your town who are hardworking and honest, and you say you can't find them. What are you doing to look for them? Right? It's like, most people are looking for good people the same way I look for bears when I'm hiking.
Yeah.
Like if I see one, I'm going to take some action, but I'm not out looking for bears every day.
Yeah.
And so, but what's great, I think, about this idea of practicing your communication skills is if you're willing to get better at it, what you'll see is gains in your customers, new customers, and customer loyalty. Agree? Someone in your industry who focused on communication would see gains with new customers and existing customers. They'd also see gains with their ability to lead the people on their team. Agree?
100%.
They'd also see improvements in their marriage.
Yeah.
They'd also
More than you would realize. More than you would realize.
They'd also become better parents.
Yeah.
They'd also have less stress in their life.
Yeah.
They'd also make a bigger difference, the people who aspire to make a difference with their life.
Yeah.
It would draw them closer to any kind of a worthwhile purpose that they're working toward. Someone whose faith is an important part of their life, learning how to connect with and communicate with other people is going to help you share your faith and grow stronger in your faith. It's going to help you be a better member of your community. It's going to vastly improve your reputation. Hey, is it possible in your line of work that somebody's looking for, somebody to do some green work for them and they ask their neighbor? Word of
Very
mouth
common.
marketing. And so what we just covered right here is that if you're willing to do this thing that's not hard, which is work on your communication skills,
Yeah.
you're going to get better at work and at home and in parenting. You'll be a better son to your parents. You'll be a better member of your church. You'll be better everything. And if that's true, and I believe it is, then why aren't people doing it?
Hmm.
They're either stupid or they're lazy or they're making excuses.
Yeah.
Or they say they're too busy, which is about the dumbest thing you could say. Well, I'm too busy for that. Oh, okay. I love when people tell me they're too busy.
Priorities.
Yeah, people say, oh, I'm too busy. I'm like, oh my gosh, did you get a time jip? And they're like, what? And I go, because I got 24 hours in every day.
Yeah.
You must have somehow lost some of that. How did that happen to you? They're like, well,
Yeah.
no, I got that. And I'm like, oh, so don't tell me you don't have time.
Yeah.
You just have different priorities. And now maybe, hey, I know being a business owner is hard. You're running ragged. The skills required to do that. You got to be good at so many things. That's why I admire business owners. Even just the single guy out there pushing a lawnmower,
Yeah.
doing that
Yep.
instead of working a job. I admire that because you got a brighter future if you're willing to stay steady than somebody working a job does. And nobody can fire you, and it's impressive. But you know what you got to be good at? Not just mowing lawns. You got to be good with people. You got to be good with, you got to know a little bit about finance. You got to know a little bit about accounting. You got to know a little bit about real estate. You got to know a little bit about insurance. It's not easy. But the people who are, running around the expo, no picking on the expo in Kentucky last week, but people running
It's
around
true.
thinking that having the perfect zero turn mower is going to help them double their business.
Preach it. Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yep.
Good luck
Yep.
with that. Or, hey, do you need to have a good system like synced up? I did a
Yep.
thing for Weston and his team recently, and what a great guy. Do you need that? Yeah, you got to have good systems. Without that, you're going to be in trouble. But once you got that, now you got to start thinking about how can I really grow my business? And I think the best way to grow your business is to grow yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who's pursued these ideas that has regretted it later.
Yeah. Mm.
So
That's good, man. Wow. We could go another hour, without even thinking about it. I know we could, but time does not allow that today. I know busy schedule. Thank you for fitting me in here and the audience that this has been super beneficial. Maybe we'll hook up and get a part two, maybe at the beginning of the year or something. But Jeff, thank you, man. Really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for coming on and spend some time with us. Thank you for your investment into Launchpreneur Academy, Brian's investment into that. A lot of you guys there. Are you going to have any books with you this year?
this year I'm not, because I'm flying to San Francisco tomorrow and then into Detroit and then from there to Connecticut. But people can get them online if they want to get an autographed copy. My website, sayitLikeItMatters.com, or they're available at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and like 1,000 other bookstores.
Yeah.
But hey, I'll give one little pat on my back plug right here. How much are you paying me to do this podcast?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Time.
It's I did this for the Green Grind, Corey
Yeah.
Ballard and those guys. I've done it for
I know
what's
you've
his
been on Brian's.
yeah, I've been on Brian's a few times. Jameson, I've done his
Oh
a
yeah,
couple
Paul. Yeah.
times. And people are like, well, why do you do that? Well, part of it is, marketing for the work that I do. A lot of it is adding value.
Yeah.
Right?
It
That the
is.
more value I can add to other people. When you sent me a message and said, are you willing to do this? I probably answered you back in less than a minute and said, yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
because it's an opportunity to add value to you and your family and your business and your customers. Right. Part of my purpose in life, if you heard me speak at Together in the Trades, we talked about it, but my life's
Yep.
purpose is to glorify God by living victoriously and abundantly and helping, equipping other people to do the same. And so you just offered me an opportunity to spread some good stuff out there to people I would have never met otherwise. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I thank you, man. I appreciate you coming on. The message is out there. Now it's up to the listeners. It's up to you guys to go take action on it. That's the thing. So at the end of the day, we're all here to grow together. We all appreciate each other's time. Say it again. What's the website? Where can people find the book again? I know it's in all the bookstores, but online.
Yeah, My website, Jeff Joyner, JOINER.com is my website. If anyone's interested, hey, if you ever hear someone saying we're looking for a speaker for an event, say,
There
hey
you
man,
go.
I know a guy, little
I
word
know
of
a
mouth.
guy. I know.
But the book is called Say It Like It Matters When It Matters. And the website is sayitLikeItMatters.com. It is available in paperback, hardcover, also on audiobook now.
Well, I can't
I
get.
hooked up with Mr. Producer actually to help me make my audiobook.
I can't guarantee this because I'm throwing this at him live on the air. I'm going to try to get Jeff to throw an extra copy of his book in his bag when he heads out on his road. Just one copy. And the first person to go up to him at LAL, he'll sign that book and give it to you for free. So I don't know
All right.
if Jeff can fulfill that.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Jeff will do it. All right, you have his word. So
We'll see you there.
he's going to have one book.
And then
First person to
everyone
go up.
else who comes up and says that to me after the book's gone, Jeremiah is going to buy you a copy. So how awesome is that?
That's exactly. We're there. We'll make it happen. So I love it, man. Well, thank you, man, for coming on. Guys, thank you for listening. We won't draw this out any longer. I appreciate y'all's time. Leave us a big 5-star rating or review if you did enjoy it. It helps us boost the show, grow the show, so we can continue to grow the community one relationship at a time. But without any further ado, that's going to wrap this one up, and we look forward to catching up with everybody here on the next one.